Welcome to the module. Some of you will be taking this module at level 9 and some at level 10. And depending on which level you're taking the module at, it will have the name Developing Practice and Practices Learning at Work or Advancing Practice and Practices Learning at Work. However, we tend to refer to both modules as work-based learning. So from this point forth, I'll just refer to it as work-based learning and you'll know that I'm referring to whichever module you're on. The whole idea of work-based learning then is that it focuses really on what you want it to focus on. There is no content. The module doesn't have any content or set learning outcomes. It has particular aims in that we hope to help you develop your skills as an independent learner. Will be able to help you develop the skills you need for lifelong learning, and certainly some of the skills that you would use in, for example, project work and dissertation work if you're going to take this forward. It's a very valuable way of learning. It's quite different from any way that you've learned before, in that you set the focus. You and I will agree what it is that you're going to learn about, what you're going to focus on, and we will then develop a learning contract. We will also agree on how the assessment will look, because depending on what it is you want to learn about and how you go about your learning, no two assessments are going to be the same. I've been delivering this module for 4 or 5 years now, and I can say hand on heart that I have never had two assessments that are even similar, never mind the same. So you will set the focus of your learning. You'll tell me what it is that you want to learn about, and I will help you then convert that into an actionable learning contract. I'll help you develop a learning contract with learning outcomes, objectives, areas that you need to learn about, particular subjects, and how you're going to put it together. I'll suggest to you how it might be assessed. You will have a say in all of this. My role is not to provide you with the knowledge and expertise related to the subject you're learning about. It's more to do with helping you develop your academic learning skills. The expertise that you need will come from your textbooks, your journal papers, and people at work, hence the name work-based learning. We would expect your topic to relate to your area of practice. So it could relate to, for example, an aspect of your practice that you want to learn more about. You may well want to know more about the evidence that underpins an aspect of managing a disease or condition or a client group, in which case it's likely that the literature review would be your chosen assessment item, because as you do a literature search and review, you're evaluating that research to decide what is the strength of the evidence and how would that direct you in delivering the best care. You may well want to focus on an aspect of your practice or practice in your clinical area to perhaps evaluate that the best care is being delivered, in which case you might choose a case study as the best assessment item, where you would do a much shorter literature review just to dip your toe in the water of the evidence to get a feel for the evidence base around that aspect of care, and then develop a case study looking at an individual patient or group of patients or clients and evaluating the evidence against the care that's been delivered. Once you've made that comparison, you can then make some recommendations for practice. Is the practice you deliver evidence based, or are there improvements or adjustments that could be made to improve the quality of it? You may well want to evaluate, maybe not so much evaluate, but you may have an idea for a slight improvement or a change that can be put in place in your clinical area. And you may well do that through doing a small change project, change management project. And we would use the PDSA or PDCA framework to support that. But my role would be to help you develop your literature review skills, your case study writing skills, or your use of PDSA or PDCA as some people call it. So hopefully you're getting a feel for what I'm going to contribute, what I'm going to bring to the table here isn't to help you develop the academic skills. I am not here and I don't have the expertise for the range of topics that people are going to look at. So I've spoken about the learning contract, and we really need to develop that. Okay, so that would set out exactly what you want to learn about, what the learning outcomes would be, that things that you would be able to do at the end. You might be able to explain or explore, or but we talk more about that in weeks 1 and 2. You would also keep a learning log, and in your learning log you keep an accurate record of all the learning activity that you've participated in as you develop your portfolio. Now, learning activity includes reading journal papers, getting advice from myself, coming to classes, maybe Skype calls when we've discussed an aspect of the practice that you're discussing. Anything at all that relates to your learning should be in your learning log. Then you would have your assessed item there, so whatever we agreed was the best way to assess, whether it's a literature review or a case study, so that would be included in your final portfolio. But on top of that, there has to be some reflective pieces, and we'll go over reflective writing and look at some reflective frameworks to help you with those. But essentially what we look for you is to reflect on your learning, and reflect on how easy the learning was, what kind of skills you developed, so that when you get to the other side of the module you will have become more aware of your own learning style and be able to turn these skills to any project or any learning activity that you want to engage in. In each trimester there are 5 workshops, 5 3-hour tutorials or workshops. Now, I always strongly advise that students come to the first 3. Those are in weeks 1, 2 and 4. Weeks 7 and 11 are more discretionary. It's easier to be discretionary about them. Week 7 will focus on making sure that your work to date is being maintained at the pace that's going to be required for submission. And then week 11 comes a couple of weeks before the submission date, so it's just about checking your almost ready portfolio, just to make sure that things are going to be ready in time. If you can't make the workshops, it's not a problem. I will provide online materials for anyone to access at all, to help you catch up with those. But the value of coming to workshops is that you get to share ideas, you hear other people's thoughts. You'd start to realise that work-based learning can be a very kind of lonely type of learning if you don't engage in the group, because you're each doing different things. So at least you get to touch base with people, and you hear about how they're getting on, and you never know, you might learn something from them too. As I said, there are online activities, and especially for those that are taking the module wholly online. Each week we'll have online activities that replicate as closely as possible what's been done in the lab, and there'll be some tasks to do. In addition to that, there will be tasks that are done online that everyone should engage in, and we'll also have some discussion boards set up via the blog on GCU Learn, and everyone's required to participate in those discussions. So every week or two there'll be a theme, and I'll be asking people to engage in some discussion. Now, they aren't set for a particular time, they're open to dip in and dip out, so they would be open for a week and you could dip in and dip out throughout the week. You don't have to be online at a particular time, because we have some students who are studying from abroad and the time difference would make it difficult for us to have things set up only to happen over a few hours. As I say, it's really about you, it's about what you bring to the table and how much I can support you. It's about what interests you in your practice area and in your own clinical practice, and it's about your desire to learn. I think work-based learning, personally I think work-based learning for busy professionals is a fascinating and very, very appropriate way to learn, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure that you'll enjoy the module and you'll look at this way of learning as maybe one that you want to engage in not an awful lot more. But I'll leave it for there at the moment. That's just a brief introduction, and I'll try and put some more video files up maybe every week or two, just to keep in touch with people and provide some insight into where you should be, how far on your preparation should be, and maybe areas to focus on. Okay, thanks very much then. Speak soon.